Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video I want to talk to you about the subject of photography as therapy. And to you, today, the 10th of October 2025 is probably just a normal, regular day of the year, but it is actually today Mental Health Day. And maybe it doesn't say anything to you, but if you follow me for a while on this channel, you might think, wow, this guy is leading this awesome life and everything I do looks really nice. You know, I've got all the time in the world to do photography, but there is a whole story behind that, unfortunately. Normally I don't release videos on Friday, but on this specific day I thought maybe it's good to share my story, to share my thoughts and how I ended up here. That is actually the whole reason why I decided to write my book. So my whole story is in this book, so everyone that's already read it probably knows what is going on in my specific situation. But if you have a rough period of your own, if you're going through a rough period of your own, then you might be interested in buying this book. I'll put a link underneath this video, and I have a little gift at the end of this video, so stay until the end. But what I wanted to talk to you about in my situation is, it's now the October 10th, 2025, and about 5 years ago, October 2020, I left my then job. I called in sick, or actually I went home sick, because I just was totally, my mind was totally running over. Troubles with my oldest kid. At that moment he was 1 or 2 years old. A lot of medical problems. COVID hit, the pandemic hit, restrictions. I couldn't go out anymore. Life felt really limited, and at some point I just couldn't take it anymore. And you know, the stress and the pressure that was on me, just took tremendous heights that I never even thought about getting there. So for about 9 months I stayed at home, eventually laying on the couch, not doing anything at all. But eventually I picked up this thing. And believe me, I've spent a lot of time on therapy, on shrinks, on whatever during the period from 2020 until like 2023. But nothing has given me more effect than picking up this thing. You know, it's, I wouldn't say, maybe one of the reasons I got out here, and also the support and love of my own family. But this thing gave me a getaway from busy situations, from stressful situations at home. So let me give you the short story. You know, I went home with a burnout, kind of turned into a depression eventually. Took 9 months to get back on my feet a little bit. After those 9 months, my second son was born, Krijn, and eventually everything what I built up came back down again when he was immediately transported to the hospital by ambulance, spent some time on the intensive care on a ventilator, because he had the RS virus. So luckily he recovered completely, but that caused a couple of weeks completely stressed out. So everything I built up in those 9 months was down in the drain again. And for some reason, the moment he got out of the hospital, in the same week I had an appointment with a cardiologist to do a routine check, because there was a inheritable disease in my family that I had to check for. And I actually thought that nothing was going on, so it was a routine check. Went there on my own. I said to my wife, just stay with the little baby, you've been through enough. And then the cardiologist said, well, that's not looking good. So long story short, I have an aneurysm in my main vein, and that now is just below the width that they have to do surgery. And at some point, if it keeps growing, I have to do some surgery. So my cardiologist just said, no more stress, no more lifting, all that stuff. You know, if you're sitting at home for about a year, trying to recover from a burnout and depression, and your kid just went to the intensive care, and then someone's telling you, no stress, you know, absolutely impossible. So yeah, you can imagine, I went back to my work with that news, lost my job because they couldn't find a suitable position for me within the company. So my whole life went totally down the drain until the deepest and darkest trench that I could have ever imagined. And everything of that story is in my book. So if you want to do the full version, if you want to know the full version, then make sure to read my book. And what I actually did as a nice touch in the book, so let me show you that all the pages are white, but actually from the moment that I went into that dark period, I turned all the pages black as a little touch of the story in the book. So the story is about every image. It tells the story about the image, but the red line through the book is my story and how picking up this thing, picking up that camera, helped me to get out more. And the whole reason why I started this YouTube channel is actually when I was sitting at home and I was thinking about this hard problem that I had. And I thought to myself, wow, I have two young children, 4-year-old and 7-year-old. And what if something happens to me tomorrow or next week or next year? What will they remember from me when they get old? And that thought kept going through my mind for a long time. And eventually, over that year that I was at home trying to recover from a mental problem, I just watched a lot, and I mean a lot, of YouTube videos. And it gave me so much creative ideas, and it really helped me to boost my photography. But at one moment, I just realized, and I thought to myself, I want to leave something behind for my children, that if they get old, then they will look at something and think, wow, that was my father. And I didn't know him, but that was my father. And so I decided to pick up this camera and walk out into nature to record some YouTube videos. Eventually, the whole plan wasn't to make YouTube videos. The whole idea was to make videos for my children. And eventually, they grew into, okay, let's throw one on the internet and see how people are responding to it. And one went to another and to another. And I'm here now, 3.5 years later, with almost 10,000 subscribers. Absolute crazy. So this thing, for me, it isn't a hobby anymore. It's not a job, but it is my life support. You know, when I walk out into the field with this camera, I can let go of all the stress that was going on in my world. You know, everything came together with my kids. You know, they are perfectly fine now, but how do you say this? This is a difficult video to make, you know, but the whole situation, those maybe 2.5, 3 years of mental instability has caused some scars. You know, there are still, I can't handle time pressure. You know, I really hate it when I have an appointment somewhere and I have to be there at a specific time. You know, I can't handle these situations. I remember when we went to Scotland to record a couple of YouTube videos there. You know, the plan wasn't YouTube videos, but the plan was to have a family holiday. But on the way there, I went to the boat and I was crying in the car because I was worrying that we were not going to make it to the boat. Well, it was about 1.5 hour drive to the boat. It was 11 a.m. and the boat left at 5 p.m. You know, that is about the mental instability that I went to. I just couldn't handle anything. Picking up the kids from school, even doing grocery shopping. For example, going to the zoo. There is no schedule in going to the zoo. You know, the zoo is open all day long, but somehow my mind just sets off all these alarm bells that's saying, damn, you gotta be there at 9 or 10 a.m. or something like that. Everyone can say, you know, what's the worst thing that can happen? Well, that is something that I tell to myself almost all the time. But still, I go through these phases. You know, it's something that you can't stop it. And if you haven't gone through a situation like that, it's something you probably don't understand. But that is what a depression or burnout or mental instability can do. And this channel and you watching this, making these videos, has given me some sort of thread, some sort of lifeline to hang on and to keep myself motivated. And I have a government alliance because of my disease and all the stuff going on. Without that, I would probably go back to a normal job just like everyone else and just like I did in the past. But somehow I convinced the people that supplied the government alliance that I was pretty good in taking some pictures, and they were willing to discover this path with me to see where this photography and YouTube thing might take me. And that's the whole reason behind this channel. Is it has given me a way out of my old life, and it has helped me to find a new life, one that I was much more comfortable with. Still, I run into a lot of problems these days. You know, I remember when I was in Sweden last year, where I show you a little clip about that situation, that we were at probably one of the most awesome spots of my trip to Sweden. And it was a tiny drizzle of snow. We had driven like maybe 4 hours to get to this spot. And it just looked absolutely fantastic, just like a winter fairy tale landscape. It was about 2 hours away from where we were staying, 2 or 3 hours away. And I remember that my friend Walter, who was with me, just said at one point, just be silent, just stand here and listen. And we stood there, and I didn't hear anything. It was just like my ears were broken. And I thought to myself, wow, this is awesome. And just that 1 second later, this total panic hit me, that somehow the thought went to my mind like, okay, what if I have an aneurysm here? You know, then it's over. You know, no one's gonna reach me on time. And this total panic attack just took us back into the car, and we just drove straight back to civilization. And the rest of the week, we just stayed about half an hour around the place where we were staying, that we just, I just didn't feel comfortable enough to go into the wilderness. So for people asking me, why don't I do long hikes on my own? This is one of the reasons. You know, I always stay around civilization. If I go somewhere and my cell phone signal loses, total panic, you know, and I can't do anything about it. And I know I will be all right, or at least I hope I will be all right, but I just don't want to take these chances. And, you know, that's what I wanted to talk to you about on this day, the mental health day, because I want you to know, if you're going through a rough phase on your own, that you are not on your own. There are more people like you. If you ever want to have a chat or anything, feel free to send me a message. You know, I'll be happy to reply if you want to talk to you about it. But I kept all these things to myself. You know, if you've watched these videos or this channel over the past 3.5 years, there's only one video where I mentioned a little bit about my situations, but I never talk about it, even if there were tears involved in videos or where I went totally crazy in my mind. I just kept those parts from the videos. I just always thought that people would only want to see the nice parts on YouTube, and that's why I want to share this video to let you know that there's more to the video than you can see on the video itself. But yeah, somehow I thought that it was better to go through that on my own and to find my own way. But now I realize that I need some help, I need support, and I need to share my story. And by sharing my story, by helping others, I redeem a little bit of the confidence in my own situation. That's also why, if you're interested in my book, if you use the offer code MENTAL10, that is valid for this weekend, the weekend after October 10, 2025, then I will, you get a 10% discount on this book with worldwide shipping. You know, if you've already read the book, let me know in the comments what you think of it. But an example, I've put the book, I sold the book to a bookstore here, and they put a little stash of them in the store. And the one that bought them, he started reading them. And a couple of days later, he sent me an email and he said, well, I've split the pile of books because I put them at photography, but I've put half of the books at the psychology department. So that's a bit of the reason behind the book. And for me, the most important thing about this book is that my kids will have something to remember me, that they will look in it and think, wow, this is my dad, this was his story. And that's why there's probably also going to be a part 2 at some point that I did start a bit of work with, but it will probably take another year or 2 years before that one is finished. That is also why my book is covering a specific time frame. You know, it starts at one point and it goes through my depression, my difficult period. It tells the whole story about that. And then in the end, it ends with the moment that I realized, okay, I'm getting there. You know, it's taking a long time, but I am getting back on my feet. And right now, at this moment, I can say, well, I'm feeling quite confident at the moment. I'm doing well. I'm doing okay. I'm doing great, actually, if you compare it to 3 years ago. But with ups and downs, you know, I still have some instability problems with planning, or if I get too much in my agenda, I just don't feel well, and I really don't go well on these situations. So I just really try to manage through all that stuff in the best possible way for me. You know, I've spent years trying to be the person that I thought people would like most. But at this moment, I'm thinking, screw everyone, it's about the person who I like to be. And for some reason, that is a mental thing that really kept on me. Try to find what you like to do, and whether that is photography or horse riding or hiking or cycling or whatever you want to do, try to find your escape from reality. Try to find something that gives you energy instead of takes your energy, and just go for that. Go and do that and spend as much time with it as you possibly can. And for me, this thing is a lifesaver. Without this, I really would have no idea what I would do at this moment, or what I even could do. But for me, it is definitely helped to get out, and especially you watching this channel. You gave me a reason to make these videos, even next to the videos that I was making for my kids. But somehow it has turned a hobby into a professional career, into a lifestyle, a life form that I'm very, very grateful for. So I hope that this video will tell a little bit about that, and about my thoughts, and about my appreciation for you to watch this. And I thought this day was the perfect day to share this story, to share my story, and hopefully my story will inspire others to find your way, and to find the best, to make the best of your situation. So like I said, if you ever want to share your story, feel free to send me a message through my website or by email or whatever. You know, I always like to listen, and it's people that listen to my stories that help me come out of my problems. So I'll be happy to return the favor to anyone. And once again, if you use the offer code MENTAL10 on my website, you get a 10% discount on my book Out of the Darkness. That is all about my situation, how I handled it, how I got back on my feet, and also about how I got into the whole situation in the first place. So it's going with ups and downs through the book. And that's why it's such an important project to me, because it's more than a photography book. It's a book about regaining fun and regaining a positive mindset in your life. So I hope you will keep supporting me even with knowing this mental instability problems and all the other stuff is going on. But once again, very grateful for your support. And if you like my videos, please push that thumbs up button, and there is a subscribe button underneath this video with a fantastic video coming up this Sunday where my son once again was the one that woke me up in the middle of the night, took a look through the curtains after I put him back in bed, and I saw this amazing foggy atmosphere outside. So I walked back to my son and I said to him, well, do you want to have some fun instead of thinking about the nightmare that you just had? And he said, well, I do. So we got on the clothes, picked up the cameras and went into a nature reserve to get some quality time and to get some positive energy. And that is what it's all about. Find your positive energy and spend as much time with it as possible. And for me, it's this thing and my family, and you will see that in this Sunday's video. So I hope to see you then. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.